right, so it's now 9 a.m. on the dot. Like I said, we have over 300 registration. At the moment, as we're going to start, I have roughly around 126 individuals that's now clocked in and logged in. Like I said, I have 4 of my colleagues logged in right now. We have George, Hatsum, Kate, and Krista. So if you guys have any question as I'm going through the slides, don't hesitate to go into the chat and basically shoot your questions right away. George and Hatsum will be there to answer your questions along with Kate and Krista. So today's webinar is about the CoreStation. Just before I start, I would give an introduction for everyone that's logged in, but it's way too much. We're not up that many times. So I'll start with myself. So my name is Dwayne Newville. I've been working with Suprema devices for over the last 5 years. But recently in the last 3 years, I've relocated from Canada to United Kingdom and be working under the Suprema umbrella since then. Like I said before, I have my colleagues that's in the chat that will be able to answer your questions if you do have any questions as I'm going through. If I'm going too fast or you can't hear me, please let me know so I could stop and repeat myself, or if my connection is bad, let me know so I could also fix it as well. Today, we have 4 topics that we're going to go through. It's broken down into what is the CoreStation. So the general information about the CoreStation, the part lineup that goes along with the CoreStation, and also door configuration. Then moving on to how to install the CoreStation system. So hardware installation, CoreStation network settings by the setup manager. So there's 2 different aspects of the CoreStation. You could basically control it and configure it by the application, or you could do the web server. That's by connecting directly to the CoreStation itself with your laptop. And then also cautions that you basically watch out for as you're installing the CoreStation system. And then the third part is how to sell the CoreStation. So the scalability, the flexibility, secureness of the CoreStation, and also user-friendly. And at the very end, we're going to have a few case studies that I'll show and review that some of our partners have completed. Moving along, as you guys know already, who we are. So Suprema is the leading global provider of biometric and security. By combining world-renowned biometric algorithm with superior engineering, Suprema has introduced several technology innovation to the security industry over the last couple of decades. So as you know, for our software, we do access control and time and attendance with a lot of powerful functionalities and features. So you will see a few of these functionalities and features as we go along today in our 1 hour and 30-minute session. As you know now, our latest version of our BioStar software is 2.7.14, which has been released recently this month. We do have new and improved functionalities and features. Definitely one that we would be highlighting a lot in the coming months and weeks is our Suprema mobile credential. We do have more advanced security settings, advanced in mobile credential usage. And of course, we have a new XPass D2 revision that will be supported by the mobile credential. So definitely look out for that device that will be coming out very soon. We also have an ear fog patch that's coming out soon. And then of course, the CoreStation can now support the FaceStation 2 as a slave device. Previously, you weren't able to add it as a slave device, but you could definitely add it as a weekend to the CoreStation, where that would definitely work and trigger the door. And of course, we still have our visitor management, which is a basic solution for visitor management system. And then we also have an improved mustard zone. Moving along. As you know, our system is very flexible. We have biometric readers, we have face recognition readers, we have different types of RFID readers. And of course, the main focus today will be our intelligent controller called the CoreStation. All right, so before I dig deep and go into what is the CoreStation, do we have any questions? Anyone wants to basically mention, or everything is good to go and everyone can hear me clear?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so I'll continue. So what is the CoreStation? So the CoreStation is an intelligent biometric controller, which controls it's a four-door access controller, so matching all types of credential between cards, biometric, and mobile functionality. The compatibility with all standard readers, so as you know, we have multiple advanced readers, and then we have dummy readers, which are XPasses. They're all compatible with our CoreStation. As you know, the W2 is a lot faster, so by adding as a slave device to the CoreStation, you do tend to go by the matching speed of the CoreStation. With the CoreStation, you have maximum user storage of 500,000 users. It's suitable for small business, leading all the way up to enterprise system with a max door of 132 doors that can be controlled. We also have an easy setup and configuration via the web server, and of course our BioStar app, which you can also add the CoreStation and configure, which I will demonstrate the application BioStar with the CoreStation, and then also play a video where you can see the web server in action. So breaking down the CoreStation, if you look at the spec sheets on the right-hand side for the CoreStation, it has a CPU speed of 1.4 gigahertz octa-core. The power of the CoreStation is 12 volts and 3 amps. The memory of the CoreStation is 8 gig flash plus 1 gig RAM. And then for the users, like I mentioned before, 500,000. So if you think of any system where you pretty much have to rely on certain devices when there are different limitations on the compatibility, with the CoreStation now you have a wide range of how many users you can store on this exact essential unit. On the CoreStation, it has 4 different interfaces, which are identical. You have on one interface, you have the RS-45 reader connection, which comes with a TRX plus, TRX minus, and ground. And then you also have the 12 volt reader power, which comes with the ground and the 12 volt, red or gray. You also have the capability of connecting vegan readers onto this interface, reader LEDs and beeps. And it also comes with 2 inputs for request to exit, door sensors, etc. And of course, it has a relay, normally open and normally close, and the comms. Keep in mind the limitation on each interface is a maximum of 31 slave units, but the total amount of slave units that can be supported by the CoreStation is 64. Those are very key information that I'll repeat one more time. The interface on each reader on the CoreStation port is 31 max slave units. The maximum slave unit that the CoreStation can support is 64. This is very important when doing any installation and promoting it to any clients. So these are the lineup that will fit best with a CoreStation. So these are the 4 readers. So you have the BR2, which is a slim, looks exactly like the BioEntry Plus 2, but definitely different. There is no network cable at all. It's strictly just RS-45 in power. It does support multiple RFID cards, so pretty much the 120 kilohertz. And then you have the megahertz MyFair and the MyFair Plus and the Deathfire and EV1 and Thelica. Next, you have the XPass D2 mullion style, and then you have the XPass D2 Gangbox, and of course the XPass D2 Gangbox, which has a keypad. It doesn't mean that you're limited to just these 4 readers. It just means that we're very flexible where you have suitable readers that will fit the style for the CoreStation, but you could definitely add the intelligent readers as well as slaves to the CoreStation to complete your centralized solution. One key aspect to understand as well with these XPass readers that they are waterproof. So the XPass D2 mullion type is IP67 rated and also vandalize proof as well, IK08. And as you see, they all support different types of cards. So if you have a client that wants a MyFair card, we definitely do support it. If they have an EM card, we also support that as well. And then these are the intelligent readers that are also supported by the CoreStation. As you can see, the Base Station 2 and the Face Light, we definitely plan to support with a new firmware. It is out at the current moment, although it says June. If you do need it, you could just request from one of our team members, and we can send you a link with the firmware where the CoreStation could then support the FaceStation 2 and the Face Lite as a slave unit. Before, it wasn't able to do that, and how you were able to do it before was just by having the Wiegand connected back to the CoreStation to still trigger that door lock. Also, we have 3 different types of module that would also work with the CoreStation. On the left here, you have the DM20. So if you're looking to expand your system to control more than just the 4-door limitation of the CoreStation, you can add as much DM20 as needed for different solutions that you may require for each client. On the middle, you have the OM120. So as you know, it has enough relays to support the different floors of a building when dealing with lift controls. And then to the right, you have the Secure IO, which is just a mini module that allows you to have a secure entry to any door from the external aspect. So you basically trigger the relay off of that, the Secure IO, which I will demonstrate further in our slide with different designs. And then looking carefully at the DM20, as you can see, there is 4 different relays that the DM20 supports. So therefore, it can control 4 doors. And then, of course, it has a power, and it has a limitation of only 2 Wiegand ports. So keep that in mind if you're looking to support Wiegand readers and extend it to support multiple doors. The limitation of the DM20 is 2 Wiegand ports, but it also has 4 relays to control up to 4 doors. Of course, it has input, supervised, non-supervised inputs as well. And then in the middle, you see the input and the output. If you need to output any alarm to an external alarm system, or if you need to output to any additional third-party hardware, that's what those output ports are for. For the input, if you have request to exit, or even a door sensor, those are the ports that come in handy for you. And of course, you have the multiple relays on the OM120 to control as many doors. In total, it comes with 11. 12. And of course, you have the Secure IO, which you're limited to 2 inputs and 1 relay. Also, if you're wondering, the CoreStation does come with an enclosure, so it doesn't come by itself in a little smaller packet. It comes with a big enclosure, which pretty much comes with height of 500 millimeters and then 340 millimeters. And it also has a AC and battery indicator to let you know whether you're using the AC or the backup battery. The backup battery could definitely be purchased locally. It does come with a PSU and power distribution board. For the lock, DC power can be provided. It does have a tamper switch, so if anyone does tamper with the CoreStation at all, you could definitely be alerted through our system. And of course, there you have the CoreStation fully light and connected via network there, with all the wires coming in and out. Yeah, you might want to know now is how does the CoreStation work, right? So on this chart right now, you have 1 CoreStation, and then to your left, you have an index where it has the green for Wiegand, relay, and then the network TCP/IP, and then the input is in red, and you have the RS-45. So the Suprema readers are an XPath, which is a dummy reader, so you can't really store anything on those readers. All the memory is stored in the CoreStation itself. So when you add 1 reader now, you're adding this reader via RS-45, so slave. But you also have the option where you can add this reader via Wiegand. So you're very flexible in a sense where you can add the XPath D2 as the RS-45 slave unit, where it relies on the CoreStation to do the matching and also store all the memory. Or you could definitely do Wiegand, where you can basically badge your card on the XPath reader and it will pass it back into the CoreStation to trigger an action. You can also add intelligent readers to the CoreStation. So there you see is the body station A2, which is also being connected to a secure IO. And then that secure IO is connected to a door sensor and a maglock or door strike, whichever you please to add. But in that case, you're showing a flexible system that could basically go towards whatever system you're installing on. The next, you could have another port going to another reader called BioEntry +2 for in. And if the customer wants to read in and read out, you could definitely RS-485 to another reader. So therefore, the customer can then read in and read out. And then you could use the intelligent reader to trigger that maglock, which is what's showing on our relay right here, our diagram right here. Then you could now use the other interface, RS-485 into a DM20 to extend to 2 more doors. As you can see, you have a DM20 connected via Wiegand for the XPath D2, and then another XPath D2 Slim type, also being Wiegand connection. Like I said before, the DM20 has 2 Wiegand ports, and then you could RS-485 to multiple DM20s if you want to extend and control more doors, like what you see there. As you see now, we now added the OM120 for a lift control in one system. So all you're doing is either RS-485 into the one reader, and then you're going to daisy chain to the other module there, OM120, to be able to control and be added all in one CoreStation. I'll also demonstrate another diagram. So this is a 4-door setup with one CoreStation, which supports 4 doors. And then we've added an additional 4 more door support to get a total of 8. And how we did that, we have the CoreStation connected by RS-485 going all the way to the DM20. And then the DM20 can then RS-485 to the 4 other readers, which will then control each doors that you see there on my screen. All right, so I'll get the pen here so you can see. So you have 1 reader here, 1 reader here, and 1 reader there. So these are all being controlled and attached to the door extender, which is the DM20. And then also that DM20 is then controlled by RS-485, connected back to this CoreStation. And of course, the CoreStation itself also has 4 doors. So this was made by my colleague, George. Obviously not enough space to put the 2 doors, but you could understand that if you have a reader here, it's also connected to a door, a reader here, another door, and a reader there, another door, and also the last door, which makes it 8. So in this screen here, you're looking at a 8-door setup with a CoreStation and a DM20. And then also, if you look carefully, you have the request to exit button and a door sensor and the maglock, all being controlled by the CoreStation on each RS-485 interface. And then on the other side as well, you definitely have the ports and inputs available for the DM20 to do the exact same as well. And the only network connection between all these connections is just one port, one Ethernet port going from the CoreStation right here to your network. So any of these XPaths wouldn't need any network connection at all. So this shows you how flexible the CoreStation is and also cost efficient as well. Moving along, most of you guys that's on the call right now are probably used to the old way of adding a reader, a biometric reader to any AC controller. So how it normally basically works is you have the matching type going from the actual AC controller, but how it works is the reader itself is matching and then sends all the information, gets all the information from the server and then sends a Wiegand output to the AC controller, which would then control the door, whether the door opens or not, if you have permission. And then you have an RFID reader that could also be connected back to that controller as well. So you see that the fact that when a user has to be transferred to the device, you have to go all the way directly to that device. And then once that device is recognizing the user, it matches directly from that device, but then send the signal out to the AC controller. Whereas you can look and see how the benefit of getting a CoreStation from an installation standpoint, you have just one point of network is from the server to the CoreStation, and then you can add multiple devices via RS-485, which then goes to the CoreStation for the matching credential and then basically trigger the relay. And then you can also have multiple readers as RFID reader that will connect back to the CoreStation as well. So in this case, there's an issue where one of the readers are damaged, you wouldn't have to worry at all in a sense where you might lose all the data and all the information on the damaged reader. Not at all. You just have to replace that reader and reconnect it back to the CoreStation, and all the information is still sitting on that CoreStation that didn't get damaged at all because it's safe in a secure location. So that's kind of like the difference between a distributed solution and a centralized solution. So let's break it down by going deeper into a typical AC controller setup. So most people understand that you have a controller, access control management software, along with the ACU, which then controls whether you get in or out of the door. Only connection that the biometric reader will have to that ACU is the 3 wires called WEGAN. So you have data 1, data 0, and ground. All right, so those wires have to be connected to the AC controller in order for matching to be complete and for the door to actually open. All right, the negative aspect of going a distribution route is you have to manage 2 different software, or if you have a middleware software in the middle, like then the automatic sync of users can be done automatically. So from an installation standpoint, you can see the benefit of going with a CoreStation. It makes it a lot easier. And if you're worried, does someone have a question? Can't hear you if you have a question.
No, someone. Yes? Someone. Yes, let me check. You can move on.
Okay, all right. So let's say if I go back to the previous slide, if a customer has this set up and they'd be like, okay, I want to now go to the CoreStation. It's very easy and simple. They don't really have to change or add additional wires. They pretty much have to just add a CoreStation where the AC panel used to be, and basically connect the exact same wires back to the applicable ports on the CoreStation, and then you can replace those readers with biometric readers, and then the CoreStation would then be able to install our software, BioStar, and then be able to sync all your users and pretty much install and move forward. And then here you have the centralized location and setup, where you basically have one server, one CoreStation that all the matching is done, and then you could easily add readers without adding any additional wiring at all. The speed of transfer is also quick on the CoreStation. And if you want to know how to configure doors by the CoreStation, so we'll do it by RS-45 communication. So here you have a 4-door connection via RS-45. So as you know, the CoreStation can support by itself a maximum of 4 doors. And then if you want to extend, I'll show you in the next slide. So here you have a reader, RS-45 to 1 port. Then you have another reader. So there's 3 wires, TRX plus, TRX minus, and ground that would then connect directly to the CoreStation. And then you have another reader, which would also be wired via RS-45 to the CoreStation. And then a 4th reader here, which is also wired by RS-45. And of course, you have 4 doors that would then wire to the normally open and normally closed slot on the CoreStation. So with this being said and connected, this is how the CoreStation is then being configured with all the readers. And then if you want to expand, you can definitely do so. If you want to do read in and read out, it's just simply doing an additional daisy chain from one reader over to the next reader. And then you basically continue that daisy chain to how many readers you basically want to add. Keep in mind too, from each CoreStation, there is a 12-volt where you can power these readers, but keep in mind, it won't. The more readers you add, it might not be able to support. So at some point, it would be wise and better to add an additional power to additional readers and configuration you're adding. And now if you're expanding it now to 6 doors instead of 4, you would then need a DM20 in the equation. And that's simply just by daisy chaining over to a DM20 and then daisy chaining to another device as well, and then also to another device as well. So it has to be a continuation of how you connect the RS-45 in regards to DM daisy chaining. And then, of course, you have the Wiegand capability that you can add to the reader as well if you need to. But for this case, we're only doing RS-45 connection. So looking at the maximum doors a CoreStation can support, if you're just using one CoreStation, which is the code for CS40, you're looking at 52 doors. So that's basically up to 64 slave units that's connected. That's by counting the DM20s and also the readers. So each reader you add as RS-45 is considered a slave unit. Keep in mind the limitation for each interface here and here is 32 max that you can add on each interface by itself, but total amount cannot exceed 64. All right, so I'll repeat that one more time so everyone's clear. So with a CoreStation, it can support up to 64 slave devices. So it does consider the DM20 and the readers as slave units. Don't just count 64 readers and then ignore the DM20. It's very key that you count the DM20 as well as the slave reader. And the amount of doors that you could basically support is 52 doors for one CS40 CoreStation. Right, so on one interface, they had 15 slaves, and then on another interface, they've added another 15, and the third one, another 15. So in total, you have 60 connected, and then you're actually now adding additional on the actual CoreStation itself. Real quickly, so as you see on the previous slide, if one CoreStation, if you had one reader per door, can support up to 52 doors. Real quick, everyone, before I give the answer, how many doors will the CoreStation accommodate if you had 2 readers per door? All right, so if you look here, you have 1 reader per door. All right, so you have 1 reader here, 1 door here, 1 reader here, 1 door there, and then you have a DM20. So if I was to add now another reader to each one of these doors, what would be the answer? So if anyone could just take a quick moment and then put into the chat real quickly what you think the answer will be. How many doors will the CoreStation accommodate with 2 readers per door? And then my colleagues as our panelists will basically respond back to you whether you got it right or wrong. Or anyone can shout the answer real quickly. Any guess from anybody? Okay, someone said 104. Someone said 27 doors. Elise says 32. We have some good guesses, another 32. Someone said 96 devices. Remember, the maximum that a CoreStation could support is 64 slaves, right? And if I could only support 52 doors, and I'm maxing out at 64 slaves, and I'm adding another reader per door, it'll be a lot less than 104 or 62 or 96 devices. All right, so those are good guesses. The closest, before I give you the answer, I would say would be person that says 27, which is Ahmed. So your answer is 28. Someone just said it at the same time. So how we got to 28 doors? Simple. You have one CoreStation, you add one DM20, and you have 2 readers per door. All right. So if you look carefully right there, I've only done one DM20 as an extender, and I have 4 doors. In order for me to support those 4 doors, I needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slave units. All right. And keep in mind, on the one interface, RS-45 interface, I could support up to 31 slave units. But the overall total that the CoreStation could support is 64. You have to be very mindful of that you're not putting all 64 devices on one interface. It just will not work, and it won't see all the readers, and you have a dysfunctional system. So be very mindful of that you connect the maximum that's supported on each interface, which is 31. Here, so far, we're at 9 slave units. And then we're adding another 9. So in total, we have 16 readers plus 2 DM20s and 8 doors. And in total, we did 18 RS-45. All right. So we're going to leave that interface for now and then go to the next interface, which will be obviously the exact same. 16 readers, 2 DM20s, 8 doors supported, and 18 RS-45. Obviously, we go the exact same on the other side. 16 readers, 2 DM20s, 8 doors, and 18 RS-45 readers total. And then as we come to the last port, as you can see, the numbers will change a little bit because we're coming close to the limitation of getting 2 readers per door. So we have 8 readers, 1 DM20, and 4 doors. So that's a total of 9 RS-45 readers. All right, so that's how we got to the answer of 28 doors being supported. I hope that's clear for everyone. So in total, we have 63 that we end up using because we're trying to get 2 doors per reader, so therefore we couldn't add and use the final port there. Is everyone okay for me to continue, or everyone just wants a quick 5-minute break? Let me know. If not, I will continue. The DM20 could only support 4 doors. All right, I'm going to continue. I don't hear anyone that says they want to break. All right, so what we just displayed there was how you connect devices via RS-45. Just to show you the flexibility of the CoreStation, now let's look into how to connect via WEGAN connection. So here you have a 4-door controller for the CoreStation, which has 4 WEGAN connections. So you're going to have a XPass reader, another XPass, another XPass, all connected via WEGAN, and then you have 4 doors. So therefore, there's 3 different wires that every single Suprema readers come with: a green, white, and black. Keep in mind the black cable will differentiate depending on the reader you're using. If you want to do an 8-door controller or 8-door configuration, you pretty much have one side you have RS-45 connection, and then you could pretty much add 3 different DM20s and then add 2 WEGAN connections. And it could also be third-party readers as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Suprema readers. As long as it's a standard WEGAN connection, you could add as many DM20s, and as long as you're using the maximum that it supports, which is 2 WEGAN ports, you could definitely go that route as well. As we move up, you see the flexibility of the CoreStation. You could definitely support up to an 18-door configuration via Wiegand and RS-45. So on the left-hand side, you can see the two biometric readers being connected via RS-45. And then on the right-hand side, you see the daisy chain and expand of the DM20s. And then also you have two different readers connected to each DM20s to basically give you an amount of 18-door configuration. You may not get to a situation like this where you may need to have this much Wiegand connection, but let's say you have a site that has a lot of HID readers, and then you want to implement biometric at some point somewhere. You could literally take over that site by adding a CoreStation, adding DM20s, and then having those third-party readers wire Wiegand back to the DM20s. And then you could also add, where needed, the biometric as they slowly go from cards to fingerprint or cards to face readers. As you can see here, the CoreStation is this powerful where it can support up to 68-door configuration via Wiegand. As you know before, one CoreStation can support up to 64 slave units. So not 76, I see someone asking. So the maximum a CoreStation could support is 64 slave units. And then each DM20 has 2 Wiegand ports, and the CoreStation itself has 4 Wiegand ports as well. So now going to the maximum that you could push the CoreStation to is if you add 64 DM20s via RS-45, and then you add 2 readers via Wiegand to those DM20s, right? You're going to be at 128. And then don't forget that the CoreStation itself has another 4 Wiegand ports, and that's how it gets to a total of 132, right? Via Wiegand, right? So don't confuse the two. When you have RS-45 and Wiegand, they're 2 different communications. So be very wary of that as well. But you're not stuck to one type. You can mix and match in the system. You could have RS-45 and you can have Wiegand connection, but then also keeping the limitation by going that route. Any question before I go on to the next slide, which basically tells you how to do the hardware installation of the CoreStation? Okay, no questions yet? All right. Is everything clear for everybody? Everyone can still hear me? All right.
Yes, clear.
Okay, perfect. All right, so now going to deep detail. So when connecting RS-45 via daisy chain, it's crucial that the resistor are properly installed and the cable is an AWG 24 twisted pair cable. You should install a termination resistor as well on each end of the daisy chain. So they're very important. So the CoreStation itself has a switch that you can basically turn it on. And if you're adding multiple devices, you don't need to add a termination at each point. It's just at the beginning where the switch is already there, and at the end of the termination is where you got to basically add that at the end of the daisy chain. You'll be very mindful of that. And also to be clear, when you're doing a daisy chain, the proper way to do it is the top, is the continuation, is the correct way. So do not do a star connection or having multiple wires going from different direction at all. There's a smooth flow. Like you see on the top part there is the way to do daisy chain. And you basically would have one at the beginning termination and at the end of the daisy chain. You don't need one for each connection. right? So what I basically explained was how to connect the hardware via slave, via RS-45. So it's one physical aspect of when installing the CoreStation. So you get the CoreStation, you have the enclosure, you get one of our biometric readers that you did also purchase with the solution. You take the RS-45 slave cable or cables and then connect via the TRX minus, TRX plus, and ground to connect the slave unit to the master, which would then be the CoreStation. And if you have multiple slave units going back to back, then you need to have a termination resistor to help with the connection. Next is the CoreStation will then need a network connection. So therefore the software could then pick it up and you can configure it via the software. Or if you're an installer and you don't want to bring a laptop with you, don't worry at all. Our CoreStation come with a web interface where you could definitely connect directly to the CoreStation's port and then have your laptop log in and you can configure the slave unit directly. If you don't want to do it this way, you're not pressured to do that way. You can always add it to the network, add it to a switch, and then install the BioStar 2 software, and then you can go about doing so. So I'll demonstrate to you how to do it from the software BioStar. Give me one moment. Can everyone see my BioStar screen?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, if you could think of I'll recap it. You come on site, you've already installed the CoreStation, you picked up an R2 reader, you purchased N2 reader, and then you've also purchased an XPass and an SIO. So the first thing you want to do now is basically connect the CoreStation to your network. Your laptop or your desktop PC would also be connected to the exact same network. If you're unsure if the readers are getting an IP address, the simple thing you can definitely do is ARP-A. Right, so as you know, if you've been dealing with our devices, all our devices come with a MAC address that starts with 0017FC, and then the last 6 will definitely differentiate based on the reader. So right now I'm looking, I can see that there is 2 Suprema readers, and there's one more here, but it doesn't have an IP address. If you're looking for an IP address, it's getting 169, but then I have 2 that has an IP address automatically already. So if I go to the system, right, here's my dashboard on BioStar. It tells me how many users I have, how many fingerprints I've enrolled, face, card, devices. So the maximum device I could add to our system is 1,000. So without an actual license, I could definitely add 1,000 devices. But where the limitation comes into play is door configuration, right? So although this is 1,000 doors, you could only add 5 with the trial version. If you click on the help, which is the manual of the BioStar 2 software, it will then bring you over to a how-to guide and how to install our software, how to log in, how to add a device, and how to add a door. And you can also go to and search keywords. So for instance, since we're talking about the CoreStation today, if I just type in CoreStation into the search, it will give me everything CoreStation. Right? If I click on the CoreStation itself, it tells me how to configure a CoreStation and what each configuration means. So it has a name where I can rename the CoreStation if I need to. The CoreStation comes with an ID to identify the ID. It's right there. I can also upgrade the firmware of the CoreStation. And of course, I could also put the device in a group based on location. I could also lock that CoreStation, and for time, I could also change the time of the CoreStation, right? Just want to show you the license portion is why I came to this screen. So if you have a customer that says, hey, I want to be able to connect and control 20 doors, then you wouldn't provide them with a free. You definitely call into our sales team and offer a basic license that gets you 20. If the customer say, hey, I need to control 300 doors, then you're going straight to a professional that could basically support up to 300 doors. And obviously added bonus that would come, lift support, zone support, server matching, and then also cloud, and then also Active Directory. And then we also have time and attendance that's also applicable into your scenario. And of course, the video is supported and also the business management. All right, so going back to my software now, I will then add a user. It's very simple. So I'm just going to take a random name that I see in our attendees. So I'll type in Young Chan Lee. So that's a new user. I will then put him in a group called Everton. I will then give him an ID of 6,000. And then I can't do fingerprint because I do not have a reader at the current moment. So for now, I'll just add the user just to show you how to create a user. So if I go to my users and look for that user I just created, they're right there. All right, next, we've installed the CoreStation. We've given it the 12-volt power. We have the readers installed via RS-45. The first thing that you need to do is hit the search menu. So what this is basically doing is it's searching for the CoreStation because you have a network connection from your switch directly to the TCP/IP port of the CoreStation. So when I hit search, it's showing me one device. So it's giving me the serial ID, which is 542777019, and then it gives me the name of the CoreStation. Keep in mind, I could definitely rename it. So if I want to rename it, I could call it All About CoreStation. So you can also name it by location as well. So if this location is located in London, UK, you could do that so you could definitely know. And if you move further, you could actually put the device in groups if you need to. So this is going to be in Suprema UK. And then the type, so as you can see is the M, that means it's a master, right? So the master connects to all the slaves that will connect to a master. And of course, this is the IP address. So as you see here, 192.168.0.104. If you go back to the command prompt and we ping this IP address, we have success. If I go back to ARP-A, you can see that that CoreStation is this MAC address right here. So this comes in handy where if you have a lockdown site and they require you to provide a MAC address, this is how you can provide the MAC address of our readers and provide it to the IT team to unlock and be able to add that reader. So once I do that now, I could click add to add exactly the configuration you see here, or you could do set IP address. So if you don't want the IP address to be like that, you can hit set, and then you could uncheck use DHCP if you want to statically set your IP address of the reader. So therefore it doesn't change, right? So just uncheck use DHCP, and then I can basically edit the IP address of the reader if I want to. I won't do that, but I just want to explain to you. And keep in mind too, if this reader is not, or this location is not going to be a centralized site, so therefore you can hit device to server, and then you give the server port of where the centralized management is going to be. So for instance, let's say George is all the way in Birmingham, and I'm installing this reader here in London. I will then ask George, what is your IP address? So I could point this reader to your location so you can manage it from a centralized location. So obviously we need port forwarding in order for that to happen and for your IT team to assist you at that point. All right, so I'll cancel editing the IP address and click add. All right, so now that I have one CoreStation, as you know, I'm going to add more devices to the CoreStation. So how would I go about doing that? So this is always the confusing part. It's very simple. On this screen to the right, you're just right-clicking and getting the browser option. So be very mindful of that you're not doing anything by right-clicking here. On the left-hand side in the tree, if you actually right-click on the CoreStation, you actually get software applicable functions. So like I said before, I have 4 different devices here. 3 are wired via slave, and then 1 is wired via Wiegand, right? So if I want to add a slave unit, I'm just going to get add slave. It's going to search and see all the slave connection you have on the CoreStation. All right, so as you can see here, I have 3 different devices. And how I know that where they're connected to is by the port. So like I said before, the CoreStation has 4 different ports. It has RS-45 port 0, RS-45 port 1, 2, and 3, right? It tells me the type of reader that's connected to each port. So on my port 0, it's showing me here an R2 device. On my port 2, it's showing me a keypad. And then on my port number 3, a secure IO, right? So I can add them all if I wanted to, or I could just add a selective one. So for instance, I'm going to add the R2 and click add. Hit cancel. All right, so only the R2 was added to my system there. And if I want to now add a Wiegand reader, I could go add Wiegand reader. But as you know before, the CoreStation comes with 4 different ports for the Wiegand connection, right? So as you can see, you got to click the right port that you have that Wiegand connection. So here I have my N2 connected to the Wiegand port number 1. So I'll hit add. Right, so now I have 2 different types of connection to my CoreStation. I have a Wiegand connection, and then I have an RS-45 connection, right? And that's how it will basically look. You could rename the Wiegand reader, so at least you know what it is. So I could basically put N2, so I'm aware of what readers click to that Wiegand port, and hit apply. The name is already there for the R2, so I don't got to change anything. But one key thing to also mention, it might be a little advanced, is here is the advanced port, which you could then tamper with the different ports that will have a tamper connection. If you want a green LED display on the output, you could select whichever port that's connected to, and same for the buzzer as well. All right, so now go back to my dashboard there. I have 1 CoreStation, R2, and a Wiegand reader. The next step now is to do a door configuration. I will then come to the door configuration. I could do by groups. So I could say London is 1 location that I have a door. And then like I mentioned before, George is located in Birmingham. So I could pretty much go here now and add a reader or add a door, and call it the R2 front door. So to get into the front door, I got to do R2. I would then select the R2, which is right there. And because it's all under the CoreStation, I could also make the person exit on the Wiegand reader, which is the N2, right? So there's how you do a read in and a read out situation. Or I could just ignore that exit altogether. I could create another door from another location. All right, so that's all I basically do. So I'm going to do this 1 door entrance to the R2. I'm going to select relay 0 on the CoreStation. And then I want to do a request to exit instead of a reader to exit. And I also select input 0. And if I have a sensor, or let's say I have an anti-tailgate and I want to put a door contact there to basically monitor that only 1 person is coming at a time via the camera, I could add another port connected to that camera, and that will have the exit button be connected to the input port 0, the door sensor connected to port 1. And the moment you add a door sensor, you now have new additions to the system. So here's another sensor, which I could use a complete different port because I have enough ports in the CoreStation to support it. So let's say I'm going to use port 7, and I'll connect that sensor to that tailgating camera, therefore to monitor who's coming through that door. And if therefore is an issue, it will then deny that person from getting in because two people are coming at the same time. Here is the door opening period. So if you want it to be 1 second, you can do 1 second. If you want to extend it to 5, you can. If it's a cashier office, normally the two people come with a long trailer, they probably need more time. So you make sure you set the time to be applicable for what's happening with that door configuration. So I'm gonna leave it at 5 seconds and then hit apply. So that's one door complete, right? I'm gonna add another door, but I'll show you an example. I could drag that door to the location that I want. So that door belongs to London. Now I'm gonna add another door now and use the Wiegand reader. So N2, back door, back to the CoreStation, N2. But carefully, see right here, you could actually select the location without me dragging it. So I'm gonna select Birmingham where George is located. And then the relay, because it's a Wiegand connection, it has to come off of the relay of the CoreStation. So I'm gonna select relay 1 because I'm using relay 0 already. All right, and the exit button, I'll use relay, so input 1, and I won't add any sensor. As you see, there's no held open or force open to basically option to show me at all. All right, so if I want to do that, I would have to select a port that would be connected to sensor 2, and then now I have alarm options. And with the alarm option, I could do held open. I could either do an output to an actual alarm, or I can make the device make a noise. So the R2 can make the noise, and it will stop once the door closes. All right, you can make it very loud if you want to. Hit apply, and it should look like that. You can do anti-passback if you want as well, but just due to time, I won't go that far into the setup. All right, so this is what happens when you use a port that's already being used in the system. So what you have to do is go back up top, and then change the port, and hit apply again, and it works. So you gotta be very mindful that you're remembering what ports you're using. Some installers make it very identical, so they know for each exit button, it's always the same port for a different interface, right? So that's how you configure the door. And these videos are connected to the CoreStation. This is how you configure the devices and how you add the devices. And then now if I go back to that new user I created, right? So let's create a door, call me a group. All right, and the new user I created was this individual here. I could change his group now to all about CoreStation. If I do fingerprint now, and click add fingerprint and do a scan. All right, it says device not connected. So you gotta make sure you select the right device. So R2, my quality. I have bad fingerprints, so I'm gonna do 40. I could do the image if I want to, or I could do multiple fingerprints if I want to. Do remember to delete it if you don't want that many. So now I'll scan my finger. Oh, it's not that bad actually. Hit enroll, hit apply. All right, so now if I go to the monitoring tab, all right, it tells me exactly what's going on here. If I go real time and put my finger down on that R2, all right, so I'm getting an error message. And normally, because once you create a door into the system and attach a reader, the first thing you have to do is make sure you do access control as well. Very key that you do this. So A, you gotta name the access control, all about CoreStation. All about CoreStation. and then you click the door that's going to be applicable under this access control group. So we're going to basically do the N2 here and the R2, and then the time frame. So if you want to do 9 to 6, you could do that 9 to 6. If you want at all times, as long as they authenticate, you go always, and then you hit apply. Then you could have a whole entire group added to this list. So all about CoreStation. And then you could add selected users that's not in the system are not in that group to be applicable. So I can add my name there and hit apply. All right, so as soon as you create a door, automatically think to yourself, I gotta do an access control group and an access control level in order for the CoreStation and the reader to work on your biometric. All right, so just want to demonstrate that to you guys and see how that basically works. And then as you can see here, I could hear a click. Because of my network there, you won't see that real-time log, but it did happen. All right, so I will then go back to my slide now. Right, so that's basically one way on adding a CoreStation and adding devices. Another way is via our setup manager. Can everyone see that on the screen?
Yes, but we cannot hear the. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes.
So this is basically our CoreStation setup manager. So this is a web server that's pretty much within the CoreStation. So if you have a laptop, you can connect directly to the CoreStation, and then you could do exactly what you just saw me do with the readers, but via directly without a software, without an additional network or switch. So if you watch carefully, this will demonstrate how to do so. All right, so back to my screen here. So that was just the version of the web server. And of course, you just repeat what I basically showed you live. So the key thing to take away from that is how easily managed network settings are. You can test the slave device's connection. You can also check for status of the inputs and the output. And basically easy to find the controller, even network broadcast cannot find it. So saves to install a lot of time for the first stage of the actual installation. Some key points when selling our reader or system. There are 4 key information that you want to basically keep in mind. Basically scalability. The CoreStation is flexible. Architecture that allows the cost-effective solution. It's suitable for small to enterprise systems. And second, the flexibility. So the CoreStation supports all types of credential and compatible with all standard readers. Then you have third, it is secure by secure communication protocols and biometric data protection. And the fourth one is it's user-friendly, that is easy to support and set up, easy to accessible by client software, and obviously the overall view of the system status is by a dashboard where I showed you before, where it tells you how many users enrolled, how many fingerprints been taken, cards and face, and how much devices you have and doors. And for the secure aspect, it's encrypted by 256-bit AES, and then also the CoreStation centralized server is basically secured by TLS 1.2, including SSL and HTTPS. And of course, we are GDPR compliant as well, where you can actually remove all the data from the device itself and our system by clicking the setting within our Firestar 2 setup. For flexibility, you can have a system where you have card, biometric, and mobile. And then you also have the flexibility of storing up to 500,000 users. So if you have an organization that have 1,000, 20,000, even schools, at least you know the CoreStation can support up to 500,000 users. If they grow at a rapid rate, then you could pretty much add multiple CoreStation to a system if need be. And back to scalability, suitable for small or enterprise. It also is cost effective based on you have the dummy readers, which cost, you know, little to nothing based on if you're going to go with an intelligent reader, which basically costs a lot more than let's say an R2. If the customer only wants a simple fingerprint reader, you don't necessarily have to add a W2. You could go to R2 and the cost is a lot cheaper that way. But let's break down each point bit by bit so you kind of get a better understanding. So for scalability, you have from small to large groups or from small business to enterprise system. It's easy to update the software from an SMB to enterprise. So if you have a license for a selective amount of doors, you could literally get a new license and add it to the system to get to the next step. It's flexible, which allows the most cost-efficient solution. So as I showed you guys before, you have the scalability of up to 1 to 132 doors. You have 4 doors, you have 16 doors, and you have 132. Just a quick question: has anyone ever installed any solution that's more than 64 doors or 132 doors? If you could just shout the number in the chat, just to get an idea if we're actually seeing those high numbers, or it's just not real in the real world.
Dwayne, someone is saying 200 doors. Chris Shank, just a question to Chris. 200 doors under one controller. This is what the customer is asking for.
I'm not seeing that question.
It's in the chat actually. Chris, you asked if anyone has more doors than 132. He just said in the chat 200 doors.
Okay, so that's the first I've heard that large number before. So that's good that we do have customers using 200 doors. Someone did ask, do we support third-party readers? Yes, we do. Before you could add via Vegan, and that would be a third-party reader.
So yeah, Dwayne, his question, $200 under one software.
$100 under one software?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not bad. All right, so we do have customers that are actually installing to the limitation of our CoreStation. So that's definitely that's good. Moving along, scalability. So now the easy to add advanced features. So you have basic, standard, advanced, and professional, and enterprise. Something new that we're actually coming out with, or it's already out actually in America, is basically you can now purchase a 4-door access control kit with the CoreStation, which is on some of the competitors, like I think Amazon, you can basically purchase from, ADI in America. Pretty much you have a kit from 1, 2, 3, and 4, where you could get a CoreStation or an XPass D2, or you can basically get the keypad reader, or you get the slim type, or it comes with R2. So you have different types that come with each kit based on the reader you're looking for. So if the customer wants a fingerprint reader, you would then go with the kit number 4 that comes with the R2. If they want a keypad reader, then they'll go with kit 3 that comes with the CoreStation and the D2 with the keypad, and 4 each. Flexibility. So with flexibility, as you know, with Suprema, we have multiple types of reader. We have face, we have card only, we have biometric, and then obviously our new solution where we have mobile credential. And then before we had a mobile card. And then you have the compatibility with all standard readers. It stores up to 500,000 users, and also it's open platform for third-party integration. So the current moment with our BioStar 2 software, we have Milestone, which you will see an example. We have an HR system integration as well. That was someone's question. And then we do have SIP. So if you want to do a SIP server, you can definitely configure either our BioStation 2 with the handset phone, or you can do the FaceStation 2. And also we do support PSIM as well. So here's the flexibility diagram, how that would look like when we're supporting multiple types of credential. So here's a CoreStation, which has RFID readers, which is the XPass. And then you have the fingerprint readers, which would then be the R2. And then you have the mobile credential, which is now applicable now and supported. And then you have the FaceStation, which, like I said, we do have the beta version of that firmware. So if you do want to try it out, just shoot me a message or an email, and then I could basically send it over to you, or you could wait until the official firmware is out. Right, so if you look carefully here, it shows a Suprema system with the CoreStation with multiple types of credentials. You have finger, you have face, you have a mobile card, and then you have cards, right? So I'm gonna show you a video of me randomly just pretty much showing the flexibility of our system. One is gonna be my actual daughter, who's actually doing enrollment on the FaceStation, and that FaceStation that she's looking at is actually wired via Vegan to the CoreStation, because actually to a DM20, which is then connected back to the CoreStation, because at the time of installation 2 years ago, we didn't support the FaceStation 2 as a slave unit. And then I pull out my BlackBerry, which I then read on an XPass reader, and then also I read it on an N2 reader. Just to show you in one system, I could definitely use my face to get into the front door. I could then use my card to get into another door, all in one shot. So here's the video. So the location my daughter's at is in Birmingham, and then where the location you see me, that's in Germany and Essen. Here's the enrollment process. So even kids in schools could basically eventually use our system. With the new situation now with the COVID 119, you're gonna have a lot of purchase with the FaceStation recognition system where they're not using any fingerprints at all. but this would be a key solution for you.
Slowly.
Yes, NFC and BLE with Bluetooth. All right, and here you go, the face enrollment in our BioStar system. This is connected by Wiegand. Here's the CoreStation 2 on the turnstile. I recognize my face. I get a green. I go through. I then get up my BlackBerry. Yes, I'm the only one that owns a BlackBerry at the moment. Put it to N2. Look carefully. I got access granted. All right, and then with the mobile credential. So I can use my fingerprint as well on the R2, fingerprint on the N2, and I can get my mobile credential and back against the XPass up top. Show how flexible our system is. All right, so like I said, you could definitely go with the CoreStation because you have a wide range of different solutions that you could actually get through a door. And that video kind of just showed you live where I was able to get in via my face and then use my phone on another door, then use my finger on another door, and then use my mobile credential on another reader. All right, so my other question, the CoreStation device to connect it using RS-45 still need to connect it via. No, the CoreStation is connected via the RJ45 LAN cable, and the reader is connected by RS-45. So you wouldn't need an RS-45 connection on the reader and a network. No, it's either one or the other. But for this centralized solution, it would be the reader connected to the CoreStation at RS-45, and the network cable connected directly to the CoreStation. All right, moving along. So another aspect of the CoreStation and our system, and from a sales standpoint, is the flexibility where we're compatible with all standard readers. So if you have any HID readers that support Wiegand, then you can definitely add those readers to our CoreStation as long as they support the EM cards of 125 kilohertz or a prox card. And then also you have the MyFair card, which is 13.56 megahertz as well. After MyFair Plus, DevSpire EV1, these readers could definitely Wiegand back to the CoreStation and also be applicable to work as well. All right, back to someone's question where they asked, can we do integration? So here's a flow of our open platform for third-party integration. So you basically install the BioStar 2 software, then you have to configure the BioStar 2, where you then enroll the user, register the device, create the door, create the zones, configure the elevator, and then configure the alarm. Then next, with a professional license or higher, you install the Milestone, the X-Protect VMS system, and then you install that version, which you can definitely get on our website currently under the support portal, where you can download BioStar 2, and you can also download the version of Milestone integration if you want to test it out and for yourself. And then you can use the X-Protect Smart Client if you want to see how it looks. So if you look carefully there, you're seeing our BioStar system within the Milestone software. And all you gotta do is select the BioStar 2 server under the integration plugin. And then enter your name, IP address of the server.
Singapore reported 386 new COVID-19 cases yesterday, our highest spike in a single day so far. We are approaching 3,000 cases with the current total at 2,918.
And that person mute their phone, please.
Yesterday that a 9th person has died from the virus.
Okay, so that was Calvin. I just muted. All right, moving along. So I mentioned before the secure ability, the security of the CoreStation. So you have a secure communication between the software and the CS40, which is TLS 1.2, and then you have the secure biometric data protection, which is encrypted line security of 128-bit for RS-45 OSDP. Then you have GDPR compliant as well, where you do have options where you could definitely not store the information on the device. or you could connect the device via Wiegand, where nothing's basically stored on the device at all. And then we're working on to have a UL 294 certificate. So we're targeting that around Q3. We should basically have that third quarter. Yeah, so someone asked about the temperature monitoring. So to give you an idea of that, I'll go back to this video here. So I'll pause it right here. So back to a news question. He wants to know about it says integration, but what it is we have a CoreStation rear at the front door. And then you have a camera that will be above her head that will be able to act independently and say, hey, her temperature right now is above 80 degrees. Therefore, that is a high fever. So what that camera then does is alert the system and then sends an output down to the CoreStation that tells you, no, this person has high fever, do not let them out, don't let them in and in, and then they will say access denied. All right, if they do come to the reader like how she's doing right now, our temperature is basically perfect, and all that happens is what you see here. I'll take my face, I'll go in, and everything's fine. So that's basically what it is. So the key thing to remember is the camera is what's important for that to work. If you're buying a camera that doesn't really capture the temperature properly, then therefore you won't have the solution how it's intended. So we don't support the aspect of the camera troubleshooting, but we support you connecting a camera to our reader to be able to see that output. So be very mindful of the camera you're purchasing to make sure it actually does the trick that you want it to do, basically. Hope that answers your question, Anya. All right, moving along, back to security. So as you can see here from the BioStar 2 client to the server, you have HTTPS, and then from the data encryption on the server, you're looking at AES 256, communication between the CoreStation via TCP/IP. That's protected by TLS 1.2. And then the encryption on the CoreStation for all the users is AES 128 encryption with secure IC and SAM. And also you have the secure tamper option. So if someone's tampering with the CoreStation, you can definitely wipe all the information from it. And you can lock the device as well. The communication between the slave unit and the CoreStation is RS-45 or OSDP SCV2. And of course, if you have a smart reader or edge reader connected to your network back to the server, that connection as well, security is TLS 1.2. And then you have the different cards that would have template on the cards or even anti-proofing method. You have a secure smart card, which is then encrypted with AES 128. You have a DES, 3 DES, and then HID SEOs. All right, Chris, we'll get back to your question there, or one of my colleagues that could address that question that Chris made on the chat. So overall, moving along, the user friendliness of our system, right? As you see how easy it is to connect the CoreStation and wire it. Having the color coded of the wires and having the color coded slots on the CoreStation makes it a lot easier to configure. Ease of use for an installer, where you could actually just come on site with your laptop, connect directly into the CoreStation web server and basically configure it right there and done. If you don't want to do that way, you could definitely go with the BioStar software. You can see a lot more and have a proper interface and configure everything properly. It's easy to access the client. So you can have one server, and as long as everyone's on the same network, they can remote back into their own login as a client back to the BioStar 2 server and do their own setting and own changes. We do have an audit trail, so wherever that person is they're logging into as, you could definitely see what they changed in the system, what they moved, or what they've edited or deleted. So you kind of do an audit trail. No, the CoreStation 2 is not integrated with the sensor. It's literally the camera by itself and then sending out an output once it recognizes the temperature is way too high. Yeah, if we have time, I will definitely do that right in. Next, you have an easy overview of the system in the dashboard. Like I showed you before, you can see the users, the face enrollment, the card, and then also you can have the amount of trigger that alerts that went off, and then access groups that you may have in total. We do have time and attendance as well, where you could actually do a schedule and then calculate how many people are in an office and how long they've worked, what time they checked in, or if they checked in late, or if they didn't work enough hours. We do have that compatibility and an assessment within our system for the time and attendance portion. Lastly, we have a bunch of case study, which I will then show you guys. Give me 1 second. All right, so these are some of the case studies that some of our partners completed. So we're able to document them a few for you guys. If you do want this case study brochure, it is on our website. All right, so there's pretty much case studies there. You have the Bosch Global, that's located in Turkey, and we have the city development limits in Singapore, and we have the airport railroads in South Korea, and then we have a few more. So let's go down and see exactly what was done here with the CoreStation. So here's Bosch, so location in Turkey. They completed this back in 2018. The application is access control and time and attendance. Technology is control panel and RFID and fingerprint, so all three. So as you see there, there's a BioStation 2 on some type of turnstile. It looks different. The project size was 10,000 employees. And then you have the Suprema partner, Suprema Group from Turkey. The solution was 250 CoreStation. It's a lot. And 120 BioStation 2. And they've also have a Legic reader as well there, which is 600 each. And then you have a handheld reader. So here they've demonstrated the challenge that they've had with this installation, and then also the solution. Because of time, I won't really go through the detail of it, but basically the challenge was the IT department in Bosch takes responsibility to provide a solid and fast access control solution to its employee in the 4 location. So their existing system was slow enough to raise concern from Bosch management. Another challenge was that all the access point doors and turnstiles should be controlled by a single system. They also look for the software to enable time and attendance, canteen management, and visitor management. So as you see, by having a CoreStation, you could definitely do all the different types of enrollment qualities and credentials, and you could have multiple different types of readers to add the challenge of the access point. And they did mention there that they want to be able to do the control in one centralized system, and the CoreStation gives you that value, and also the BioStar software. But basically, the key benefits that they were able to receive is the fast processing time, increase in safety and productivity, easy management in the system, and this is basically the configuration that was done. All right, so you have a CoreStation in the middle. You have two locks, and then you have the door sensor as well. Then you have a third-party reader, which is wired via Wigan to the CoreStation. Then you have another third-party reader wired directly to the CoreStation. And then you have another reader going to the Wigan port as well. And of course, you have a third-party integration there via our BioStar 2 SDK. for their access control, visitor, canteen, and you have a BioStation 2 at the beginning there for the turnstile. All right, moving quickly to another case study, which is called City Development. So just skimming through here, you have the location in Singapore, 2018, access control, the application, technologies and control panel, and an elevator panel and fingerprint, 500 employees. So the partner here is Hanman International in Singapore. So in total, they use 10 CoreStation. And as you can see, there's a lift in that image right there. So therefore, from the looks of it, there's about 46 floors, or could be more. So to support all of that, they were able to get a 28 OEM 120. As you know already, it comes with 12 relays. And then obviously you have a BioEntry W2, which is pretty much calling the lift, and also by a door as well. So they got about 48. And then you have a secure IO, which should be 27 they have as well. And then the BioStar 2 software. Yes, I can send you the slide if you want. Next, the challenge that this customer had. So the IT department and CDL has the responsibility to provide a secure but user-friendly access control system to its employees. The access control points of the building, such as the door, turnstile, parking gates, elevator, were managed by RFID card readers, which can grant or deny access to employees. However, the CDL had deployed multiple card readers system requiring employees to use different cards at different points of access. So as you see right there, that is a challenge. Using multiple different cards in one system became challenging for the customer. So this caused entry delay. So imagine someone's coming to the door, their card's not reading. It just basically piles up a bunch of people behind it, and then now will delay, and you have a long queue, and everyone's angry before they even get to work. So additionally, as they were dealing with the excessive number of cards, unnecessary administration work, and the costs were incurred, as when cards got lost, they had to get it deleted, and then new cards would be reissued. So you can see why biometric is key in this situation, because the clients are losing their cards, they have to reissue it, they're creating more work, delay in the queue at the front gate. So the solution was definitely, the CoreStation, the OM120, the biometric reader, and then also the BioStar 2 software. Key benefits to take from that is easy to use, fast processing time, and improved security. All right, looking here. This is how they had it connected. So you have the CoreStation as a centralized unit. Then you have, keep in mind, I'll get the pen here. Oh, no, not the pen. Keep in mind right here, you have the RS-45, and you also have a door control as well in the CoreStation, but instead they have RS-45 going to the secure IO, then daisy chain to the W2. So what that means is you're not using the CoreStation to trigger that door or that lock. You're using the secure IO. So it's very flexible in that aspect. So if you want to see how that works, so if I come to the system here and then go to devices, and then I right click on the CoreStation and hit search for slave. Take a while. So right there, I have a secure IO. If I hit add secure IO and close, so now I have a secure IO there. So usually if you have that error message there, 9 times out of 10 is either firmware issue, or you could just reboot the CoreStation. Let me see if I can still go ahead and start waiting. So if I was to go here to the N2 and then look at the relay. So right now I'm using the secure IO the CoreStation's relay number 1. So in that diagram, you could definitely use the Secure IO relay instead. So that's just me switching from the CoreStation relay, whatever I've connected to the CoreStation, to now connect the door lock to the Secure IO. All right, so that in that case, if you look at this diagram, that's what's basically being done here. All right, so all those doors, those 3 doors are not using any relay at all from the CoreStation. They're using Secure IO. All right, keep in mind the limitation of the length is 1,200 meters that you could pretty much travel the RS-45 cable. So that could be somewhere far away where they had a door that they didn't want to stretch the CoreStation. So instead, they traveled that distance, 1.2 kilometers, to basically connect the SIO to the door, and then had that same secure aspect of that configuration. Next, you have the airport. So the gist of what I'm basically explaining here is the fact that we have so many scenarios, so many customers, and so many types of needs, and the CoreStation is able to fit each one of their customer needs pretty much. So here's an airport railway, a railroad, which is in South Korea, where headquarters are. And you see you have a CoreStation, and then you have Secure IOs, 584 employees. The partner here is Jungwon Security in Korea. They're using 8 CoreStation in total for this solution, and they're using a BIOS station A2, 10 each, and an X station, you don't see that every day, 32 each, and an XPath is using 100. So I'll read out the challenge that they had. All right, so previously used, they had an X station, which has the LCD touchscreen, RFID reader, along with the BioStar version number 1 platform, which is software-based, PC-based. As time passed, more reliable security solution was required. So they were using only an X station. Security information was stored inside the device, which left user data vulnerable to compromise. In addition, an airport railroad needed to use their own security platform, which would require integration with BioStar 2 API. So in this case, we basically did the API integration. So you get enhanced security system, fast processing time, easy operation. So you look there, you can see the A2 reader, the intercom system with a camera. And if you look at the diagram, the CoreStation with door contact and a sensor. You have all the X station, which is basically connected via WeGan. And then you have external alarms. So if you want to connect the external alarm, you can definitely connect it directly to the input and output cables or input ports on the CoreStation. And then here you have the network cable going from the A2 and the network cable going from the XPath to the same network. All right, so because we went over time, I won't go through all the case studies, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm basically getting at, is our system is very flexible and it can support many solutions and many situations and scenarios. You just got to map it out in a sense what the customer requires, speak to our tech team or our sales team, and we can basically advise you what device would be best for the solution. And keep in mind with the new COVID-19 scenario going around now, we do have face readers, and then we have mobile credential where you don't have to use your finger or touching any of your device physically. They could keep their own device and badge and mobile credential, or they could just touch and go with the face station, or scan and go, I should say. All right, so I'm going back to my presentation here. Of course, we also have a demo kit for the CoreStation, which comes with 2 readers in the front and a little door in the middle with a little green LED light to then trigger a success when a fingerprint is red success or a card has been badged. So this is something that some of our team can supply to you guys if you guys need to demo the solution of the CoreStation in a really mini compact case. And how the connection works is you have a CoreStation being powered by a battery that's also in that case. It's also being daisy chained to power the LED, power also the DM20, the XPass, and the R2 is being powered directly off of the CoreStation. Just to show you how flexible and compact the setup is. And then obviously you have a little switch that could be mobilized with you that you connect the CoreStation to, and then your laptop would be connected to if you need to reconfigure anything, or you could just configure everything all at once and then just know your fingerprint is there for your ease of demo at any given time or any meeting that comes up. So I believe if you do need a demo case, you just request from your sales region contact, and they should be able to guide you on how to be able to get one of these as well. So thank you all for amazing output of attendees that we've had. I think this is the largest we've ever seen. I've seen that most of your questions has been answered by my colleague and also been answered through my presentation. Does anyone have any questions or any issues, or you couldn't hear me? If you guys could wait a bit, I do have a poll at the very end I'd like everyone to fill out and give their input, which would be greatly appreciated. If you just spend a few minutes to answer those 2 questions for me, please. If this was helpful to you, or if it needs work, or if you should add anything else, let us know. We can definitely improve it. If anyone have any verbal question that you want to ask, just go ahead and shout. I see one hand raised, which is Shabu.
It's already answered by Hatem. I have a question on the redundant mechanism, so he said he's working on that.
Okay, perfect. I see another hand raised. That is by, oh, that's it. Yes, if everyone could just fill out the poll for me, please. I still have 179 individuals still here. If you could kindly do that for me so we could definitely know what to do in the future, or if any improvement that needs to be made, let us know. Anyone that wants the slide, my email address is dneufville@supremainc.com. So that's dneuville@supremainc.com. If you have my contact in LinkedIn, just shoot me a message and I'll send it over to you. If you have any other question that you want to ask me privately, definitely go ahead. Yes, that's correct, Stefan. dneufville@supremainc.com. Yep.